Hi, good morning. Happy Women's Day. This podcast continues a conversation that began earlier on the Tamil talk show on beauty standards and in the book review of Where is All My Friends in Tamil by R.J. Anandhi. That discussion did not end there, it stayed with me. It made me question, it made me reflect. What you're about to hear today is not taken from one single source. It is shaped by many books, many writers, and many powerful ideas that influenced my thinking over time. This episode is a coming together of those readings, those reflections, and those realizations. To every author whose words planted a seed of thought in me, thank you. And with that gratitude, I begin. My identity is not my appearance. This podcast is for every woman whose appearance, rather than her power, has ever been measured. And it is also for the men who choose awareness over ego, who understand the responsibility of supporting the women in their lives as sisters, daughters, partners, and wives. Because I feel empowerment is not a battle between genders, it is a shared responsibility. Let me ask you something. When you look at a woman, what do you notice first? Is it her clothes, her hair, her skin tone, or her body shape? Most of us notice appearance first. But here's the deeper question. Who taught us to look there first? It's the culture that trains the eye. Society programs the mind. And across history, one message quietly repeated itself. A woman's value is visible. If we look back, the examples are uncomfortable but important. Among the Morsi of Ethiopia, women wore large lip plates. They were told it was beautiful. Over time, it became linked to marriage value. The more she fit the beauty standard, the higher her chances of status. Her appearance influenced the future. In China, during the Song dynasty, young girls' feet were tightly bound to create lotus feet. Bones were broken, walking became painful for life, yet small feet were praised as refined and desirable. In 19th century Europe, under Queen Victoria, women wore corsets so tight that fainting became fashionable. Fragility was glorified. A woman was admired for being delicate, soft, dependent, traits presented as feminine, but often used to justify limiting her strength and independence. And in parts of India, under the Devdasi system, beautiful young girls were dedicated to temples in the name of devotion. What began as a sacred tradition gradually blended with social control. Silence was expected, obedience was praised in many regions. These girls were later sent to serve local rulers and powerful patrons, where the bodies were treated as offerings and their consent was never part of the equation. Exploitation was masked as duty. Different continents, different centuries, same pattern. Women were not always controlled with chains, they were controlled with approval. Be quiet, that's graceful. Be sacrificing, that's virtuous. Be obedient, that's respectable. There was a subtle psychological pattern behind it. When men are repeatedly taught that softness, silence, and submission are ideal feminine traits, they begin to prefer and reward those traits. What looks like admiration becomes a way to maintain control. When dominance is framed as protection and fragility is framed as beauty, imbalance starts to feel natural, and slowly, compliance begins to look like character. Now let's come to today. We no longer bind feet. We no longer wear those corsets. But the pressure didn't disappear. It evolved. The beauty industry is worth billions. Advertisements rarely say, "You are not enough." They whisper, "You could be better." For years, brands of fairness creams implied that lighter skin meant brighter opportunities. In the 1950s in the United States, advertisements glorified the perfectly groomed housewife, smiling, polished, devoted. Today, influencers softly say, "This changed my life. You deserve this. This is confidence." But behind many of those sweet words are sponsorships, filters, and marketing psychology. Admiration becomes advertisement, validation becomes a product, insecurity becomes profitable. And here is the uncomfortable question. Are women conditioned to be beautiful instead of powerful? Let me be clear, this is not about rejecting beauty. Beauty can be art, adornment can be expression, self care can be joyful, but appearance should never be the primary measure of worth. Because equality is not something you wear, it is something you build. It grows in education, in financial independence, in skill development, in leadership, in the courage to think independently. Nature did not create women fragile. Nature entrusted women with resilience, intelligence, emotional depth, and the power to create life itself. Somewhere along the way, that strength was redirected towards appearance, and the most concerning part, we normalized it. So maybe this Women's Day, the shift began with something simple. Look at yourself, not in the mirror, but in your mind. Ask yourself, is this security truly mine, or was it handed to me? Let confidence grow from competence. Let respect grow from capability. Let identity grow from within. Because you were never born to be admired, you were born to be unstoppable. You are more than this. Happy Women's Day. Thank you for listening. Bye.